It is not happy. And I feel so sad for it. Do you see this tiny little asparagus? These little like beads. You can actually use these beads for... This was a box full of root vegetables until a critter Welcome back to a homesteading hustle. Today we are doing a garden tour. I have not done a garden tour at all yet this year. It is 2024. Last year I did a live garden tour and it was a little spotty because of the Wi-Fi. So today we're going to walk through everything. I'm going to show you what is actually happening this year and what things did not do so hot. So it has been a really strange year for the garden. The weather here in Minnesota has been up and down. We had a really wet spring, which really prevented a lot of plants early on from taking off. We had a really hot June. And it's just been all over the place as far as like precipitation and temperature, and we get a lot of wind on our property. And so this year focus has been a little bit less on the garden, but overall, growing food is so important, and we are in a time of need for growing our own food and just really making sure that we have our hands in what we're putting into our bodies. So I'm going to show you what we have going on today. I have flowers, we have vegetables, a lot of volunteers. So let's just dive right in. All right, so here's just a brief little front view of our garden. This year I put on these cute little lights. So I just put these on a few weeks ago. It does go up around this little trellis here, and then just down a little ways here. And they look, you can definitely see them right now, but at night they look really cute, except I have them going like down and up here. And at night that looks a little silly, but it's okay. They're still cute. So this front area I had covered for the last, I think it was just last summer. I had this completely covered in plastic so that I could plant some flowers in it this year. So this is an area that I designated for cut flowers. So let's go in here. So this area, I have not spent a ton of time weeding in the last like week or so, but because I had it covered for so long, it's been really easy to weed and it hasn't been highly susceptible to the weeds, which has been really good. I also was really smart about this area, and I put a weed fabric down right away, which is something that I don't often think ahead like that. And so this year I felt like I did a really good job in prepping this area properly to set myself up for success as far as like staying ahead of weeds and everything, especially because I knew that I wasn't going to be in here as much as normal. So if you start on the back side here, I have some snapdragons. Everything is just starting to bloom. So this one's kind of funny because it tilted over. But this is the first snapdragon. How gorgeous is that? So I'm going to cut some of these today because obviously like I haven't been in here, I've been at work. And so this one needs to be cut, so then everything else will be encouraged to grow. We have a lot of little buds on here. These I grew from seed. Here's another snapdragon that's going to be coming in. So I don't have a ton of stuff, just little bits here and there. We got some weeds in there. This is something called Job's Tears. Now this, I've never actually grown this, but it looks really cool already. Let's see if I can get that to focus. So this is actually, you can eat this. This is edible, but I'm growing it because it's supposed to be really cool in a cut flower arrangement. So we'll see as it grows. These little like beads, you can actually use these beads there's some story behind them being used as jewelry. I did have some things planted in here. This is just I think that's Creeping Charlie. We just have some other weeds in here, but there was a couple different things planted in here and they all just kind of fizzled out because of the rain. We have some cinnamon basil here. These are really gorgeous in cut flower arrangements and they smell amazing. Amazing. We have a calendula here. These are just starting to bloom. I have some, or just starting to bud up a little bit here. I do have some of this in the vegetable garden that planted itself, and it has been blooming like insane. This is just some volunteer chamomile here. We're just gonna let that do its thing. This down here, it's a little stunted, but this is Bells of Ireland. I have a couple more behind me. I'll show you that. These look really neat when they're full grown. I did grow them last year for some cut flower arrangements. They just stay green and they have these cool little green bells on the top. But it's a little small right now. I don't know why it's a little stunted, but we'll see. It'll probably catch up. We have Bachelor Button here. This is a variety as far as color goes. We have some like purpley in here, some blue. This one's really cute. They're just really small and dainty, really great for like a kind of a wildflower bouquet if you're going for arrangements. We have some zinnias over here. This is I want to say it's like a peppermint zinnia because it's got these little streaks in it. It's usually like white with red streaks. We do have some pest damage, which definitely can inhibit their growth, but this one looks like it will be okay. I do need to come through and cut a lot of these so that they'll continue to produce more. Let's see, we got weeds. Oh, here's some more bells of Ireland in here. Those are looking good. Again, way behind everything else. But this plantain, I need to pull that. Next here we have Cosmos. I don't recall if these are the Dazzler or the Bright Lights. I may have planted both kinds in here. So we'll see as those bloom. They haven't really budded up yet, but we'll see how that goes. More calendula here. And then we have, oh, yikes, that's a Japanese beetle. That's a bad guy. Ish. Yeah, we don't want him. That's probably what's chomping up my zinnias. So we have more zinnias, which are getting chomped. Here's a pretty zinnia. I don't know what variety these are. I planted a bunch of different varieties. And so some of them, like one of them is called like Mazurkia. This might be that because it's pretty big. There's a few different kinds. But all zinnias here. This one's really cool looking. This one's beautiful. This has like such a cool pattern to it. How gorgeous is that? More zinnias. Oh no, I've never had these Japanese beetles. Those are nasty. All right, I'm gonna have to come in here and figure that out. And then some more. These ones look like they're having an issue with blooming properly. So I'll come through and I'll harvest a lot of these flowers and they'll start to come in more full. Zinnias in particular are cut and come again. Actually, most of these are cut and come again. So the more you cut them, the more they flourish and continue to come. So, all right, let's go check out some vegetables. Okay, so I have to keep this fencing at the top of this door because chickens will jump fencing if they can see the top of it. So the garden fencing, they don't jump because they can't see the top from the bottom, from their point of view, they can't see the top here, but they can see the top of this door and they jump up here and then they'll jump in. So this prevents them from going in the garden. So I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna go in a different door. We're gonna go down here by this little tent. Okay, this is just a cute little kid's tent that I got at Walmart. It was like 20 bucks. And I'm just always trying to find ways to keep our toddler entertained. And so that's just out here for her. So we're gonna go into this little, this little area here. It's like a secondary door. You gotta do what you gotta do, right? Sorry, Gwen, locking you out. That'll work. And right away we have, these were over here, right at the entrance here. Those have chamomile in them, well, and some weeds right now, but they're done. And I just moved them out of the way so my husband could weed whip over here. But now they're kind of being overtaken by pumpkins. This is two different kinds of pumpkins. These are a Big Max pumpkin and a pie pumpkin. I didn't want them to flower at the same time, but they are. And that's just, it is what it is. That's what's happening. These things are insane. We have an insane pumpkin patch happening. So that should be interesting. We have our cherry tree right there as well as right here. And those were heavy producers this year. I have a whole nother video that I'm going to be making on making cherry jam for the first time because we harvested a lot of cherries. This year's the first year we've been able to harvest enough to actually do something with them, rather than just eat them a couple at a time. And so it was really exciting. So I'm really excited to share that with you. All right, so next to the pumpkins here, we do have our bunnies over here in this hutch. And I'm in the process of, because they've been starting to dig, because they're a little bored. And I know that this is kind of a ghetto setup. But we have this old chicken run. My husband brought this in here today. And I'm gonna turn that and I'm gonna allow them to have just some areas during the day where they get on fresh grass. I bring them fresh treats all the time in there, but they've eaten down everything that's naturally growing in there, and they want some new area. They're kind of bored. So here's my garden sink with all kinds of junk under it right now. Behind it, I'm in the process of starting, there's definitely some weeding happening, but I'm in the process of starting like just a perennial flower garden. Not cut flowers necessarily, just some pretty things. And so over the next couple years, we got toddler boots in here. Over the next couple years, these things will start to flourish and really fill in. We have a hydrangea here. This is just I forget which kind of hydrangea that is, but when I bought it, it was blue. And I know that they change according to like the soil acidity. So it hasn't bloomed at all since I moved it over here. So we'll see what color that turns out to be. And then we just moved some hostas back here. My mom and I did that. We'll also bring back some daylilies, just some things from the front garden that really weren't doing so well up at the front of our property because they never get tended to. They don't get watered, they don't get weeded, they don't get anything. And so I'm gonna bring them back here so they actually get tended to, and then I can actually enjoy them. And so we're gonna have some daylilies and some hostas and a few other things over here. This is something called foamy bells. That's a dandelion. That's like intertwined in there. But I could pull that right out. And got it. Dandelion. So that's called foamy bells. Since I moved it over here, it has not flowered, and that's okay. I probably won't this year. I don't know if this is something, but I left it in case it was. I don't remember planting anything that looks like this. It could just be a weed, but we're gonna leave it and see if it does. Calendula that planted itself. This is called false sunflower, and it's really pretty. And look at these leaves. They look so cool. These are just the coolest leaves. I know they're a little curled right now. I'm not sure what that means it needs, but I just got this in this year. I bought it last year, sat in a pot all winter, and thankfully I was able to get it in and it's doing okay. This, I'm not 100% sure what I planted here, but I did seed something here. So we'll see what that is. Maybe you know. Maybe you can tell me what that is. Maybe Rebecca? I am not sure. I don't recall. This is also some chamomile. This stuff is everywhere on the property. Here's my handsome husband. Again, more chamomile, and I'm just kind of leaving it. It can do its thing. This I just bought this year. It was kind of on like a sale rack, I believe, at Menards. It is starting to bloom again, but this is a coneflower or an echinacea. Right here is our raspberry patch. This we've been picking off a ton. I'll show you more of that in the cherry video as well, because we picked both raspberries and cherries that day. This traveled, this whole section right here, that is all from the rhizomes that grow underground, because this thing travels insane. This originally is probably like 9 plants, and they're just heavy, insane producers, and they've traveled over there. They are traveling, you know, outside of that area. Like here's one. It's kind of shriveling up a little bit right now, but right across from our raspberries, which were right on the other side of the camera here, this is our rhubarb. I've already actually cut all this or pulled all this for the year. We are getting a second flush here because I learned for the first time this year that you're not actually supposed to cut the rhubarb stalks. You actually pull them out, and that encourages the plant to continue to produce. Had no idea. Did that for the first time, and now it's producing more. How cool is that? So next to the rhubarb, I have for the first time ever, we planted asparagus. This is first year asparagus, so there's just some cute little ferns. And then I will show you a tiny, tiny little asparagus. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Let's see if this will even focus on it. Do you see this tiny little asparagus? Look at how cute. It's a teeny tiny little asparagus. I'm so pumped about these. I realize that you can't harvest them for the first couple years, but I've been wanting to get these in forever, and I finally did it this year. I actually pre-soaked them and I actually told my husband, hey, I need you to put these seeds in this box, and he did it, and they germinated like a champ. They're great. These are the Mary Washington variety, I believe, and so I'm super pumped about that. Yay! Next to that is our blueberries. These were in the ground. I moved them, so they were in the ground over there, in this mess right over here. They hated the ground there. It just was not the right acidity for them. So I moved them to this box, which is heavily mulched with like sheep droppings. So you can see here, we had sheep bedding that we moved in here. That's going to help provide some nitrogen and just some good nutrients for these blueberries. And they've been doing great. They actually have not produced this year because we had a deer come in and chomp them down like no other. So they're just kind of coming back, but they are looking really good. We have new growth here. I mean, out of the 5 in here, only one looks like it might not make it. The other 4 looking healthier than they ever have before. And actually, to transfer them over here, I dug them up, and oh, it's nice I can actually see the camera now that the sun's not in my eyes here. I actually dug them up and I removed all the dirt from the roots so that I was planting them bare root in this box here. Because they seemed really root bound. They seemed really compacted with soil. And that, I think, was a huge difference too. Just being able to get as much of the root as possible, pulling all the dirt off, and just allowing them to breathe a little bit. And they weren't suffocating in here. This is boxes. I really like planting in boxes because it does allow the roots to kind of travel more readily. And they just seem to be healthier plants initially. I realize in the ground over time, you know, they get used to it depending on what plant it is. But I just think things in boxes flourish faster, if that makes sense. So right next to that here is our pear trees. Here's one. So here's one pear tree. And then we have another pear tree right there. Next to our pear trees, or behind them, we have an apple tree, some weeds. This was a garden area that my son started that ended quickly. And we have a few other, 2 more apple trees there. There was 2 that died here, cut those out, and there's 2 apple trees over there. And when the deer came in and chomped down the blueberries here, it also chomped up our trees. And we also made a huge mistake of allowing our sheep to come in here in the very early season, thinking that they wouldn't mess with the trees. And our ram did, and he did some damage on the trees, which is really unfortunate. So they are struggling a bit this year, hoping that they'll recover. There was more apples that you can see, like 3 apples right now. There was way more. It's really sad, but that's what happens. You'll be okay. So if we go backtrack a little bit, this area, I did have it covered. Our property is so wide open, we don't have many tree covers or much tree coverage at all. So the wind comes whipping through and just kind of rips the plastic that I put down. I had so many things. I mean, I had stakes in here, bricks on here, ladders, all kinds of stuff, try to hold it down, and it just kept getting lifted up. And then my husband came through and accidentally tore some up. So it was covered to try to utilize this spot next year. But now it's just coming through with weeds. But over here we have, this is going to be our butternut squash this year. It's finally starting to really take off. It took a long time for this to get going, but now it's happy and doing its thing. Butternut squash is one that we like to have on hand for sure because it stores really well. So we're not super awesome about using our entire harvest usually because it's a heavy producer. But we do try to give some away. And again, if you're looking for something that stores really well long-term, butternut squash is a good way to go. On the other side of the butternut squash, we have 1 sunflower, 2 sunflowers, and then I've replanted this bed 3 times because the sunflowers were getting eaten, but we do have some more sunflowers coming in now. So these varieties are the mammoth, so they're the really large ones with the big, huge head. These ones back here are going to be the lemon queen. And I personally like the lemon queen for cut flower arrangements because they provide multiple heads on one stalk. We do have some weeds in here, obviously, but they provide a lot of sunflowers rather than just one straight stalk, and I think they're really beautiful. And then behind me here, this is our zucchini. Zucchini are insane. I did actually replant this. The first seeds I put in here didn't take. I replanted them and they did awesome. I did start some inside too, and those didn't do well. The seeding this year was really strange. We did start a lot of stuff indoors. Some of it transplanted well, some of it not so much. I did have to reseed a lot of stuff this year, and we got a lot of stuff in really late. But anyways, zucchinis, they're doing great. Let's see if we have any. I've been harvesting so many zucchinis. So I just want to peek in here and see, oh gosh. Okay, so I went to work for the last 2 days and there is insane size ones and then a perfect one right there. So I'm gonna come back and grab these in a little bit. Let's see what's on this side. Again, once your zucchini start coming in, oh my gosh, like overnight baseball bats. Here we go. Look at that guy. Huge. That's okay. The big ones can just either go to the chickens or I'll make zucchini bread with them. I've been actually eating zucchini, like the nice size ones, at work. I've been cutting them up and just toss them in olive oil, and I put them in the air fryer at work and just with like a little bit of salt and pepper or a seasoning of some sort. And it's just such a nice, easy way to get through your zucchini. And I've eaten an entire zucchini myself 2 days in a row, the last 2 days at work, and it was really good. Next to the zucchini here, I ignore all of the grassy weeds. This area has been a bit neglected. My intention for this trellis here was to have a bunch of stuff that would be beautiful growing on it. None of that worked because the deer and the bunnies this year have been insane. So yes, we have our garden fully fenced in, but they're getting in and it's a problem. So when I say I had 8 plants here, I had 8 scarlet runner beans planted here. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like something like that. It was 2 and 2 all the way down. They all got chomped. Now we just got weeds growing. Nothing there, nothing there, nothing there, nothing. All chomped. Here's the only one that survived. And this is what it looks like. It is trying so hard to survive, but it is not happy. And I feel so sad for it. So bunnies have come in here and done this, as well as slugs, and probably another type of critter. But these scarlet runner beans, they've been trying so hard. And I've just been so sad that they have not been able to flourish, because this would be so beautiful with a bunch of those little red flowers that scarlet runner beans produce. That was my intention. It just didn't work out. We'll try again next year. So if you were here last year, you saw on this trellis was our loofah gourds. So I planted I don't remember. There was probably like 6 or 7 loofah gourd plants on this trellis last year. I didn't use a single loofah gourd. And I showed that video on how I wasted them on accident. I grew a lot of them. It was a gorgeous trellis. But I did not grow those this year because I clearly wasted them last year. And I knew this year I just wasn't going to have time to spend on cleaning them properly and doing all that. So I did not grow them. So instead, on the other side of this trellis, I don't even know if I'm in the frame here. I'll come over here. So instead over here, I ended up putting tomatoes. So I put tomatoes all the way down, and I've been just trimming them and tying them up. Actually, I've been using these clips, which are really handy. Hope this wind isn't bothering you. These clips are really cool. So what they do is they clip without damaging the plant, which has been really great. I actually really like these. I got these on Amazon. They were recommended to me by Shelby over at, I want to say her channel name is Homesteading with Shelby. But these are the San Marzano variety. I really wanted to do a lot of San Marzanos because they work really excellent for sauces, like marinaras. They're also really great for salsa, which I like to make a lot of salsa. Now we have had a ton of volunteer tomatoes this year, and I don't know what variety they're, but I'm going to guess they're cherry because that's what I had here last year. So this right here is just wily tomato plants, and I'm just kind of letting them do their thing. I'm not trimming these ones, so I'm trimming the ones I planted. I'm letting the volunteers go. So we come on the other side here. So this whole row right here, this is a volunteer indeterminate tomato, so it's going to start to just trail along the ground, and it's a cherry tomato of some sort. I don't remember the variety. We have some other tomatoes over here. These are going to be the mortgage lifters. That's a volunteer But these are going to be the mortgage lifter tomato. They're a little behind, but they're looking really great. I have not strung them up or caged them up at all yet, but that is on my to-do list. Here is another one of the cherry tomatoes. That's a volunteer. It's got a lot of fruit producing on it, but I'm trimming these up really well. These are indeterminate, so they will continue to just grow and grow and be crazy and wily. So those I will kind of just string up this trellis and will allow the trellis to support them. These are really behind, but these, and they're a little yellowing on the edges, but these are a muncher cucumber. These produce really delicious cucumbers. I don't see any right now, but there's a few flowers on there. But these ones, they're really nice because, oh, here's a little baby. These are really nice cucumber because they're not heavy with seeds. They just have really great flavor and they're nice and crunchy. Okay, so I'm going to backtrack a little bit and go over back where we were near the rhubarb. Next to that, we have a box of tomatoes. Now these tomatoes are way behind everything else. I did plant these. I actually planted them with you in one of my videos. I think it's a homesteading mom video, or I'm a homesteading mom or something like that. But these, I don't remember the variety, and they are doing fine. This bed never got amended with any sort of nutrients, and so it's heavily lacking. And so they really need just some nutrients. They need a lot of nitrogen, and I really need to bring some like sheep or bunny poo over here, or even some aged chicken stuff. So we'll see. They're doing okay, but they're not going to be heavy producers this year. Next to that, well, this was a box full of root vegetables until a critter decided that it was their buffet. So here's a hole. Oops. For a critter of some sort. Little stinker. Well, he ate all my beets. I had beets in this entire section. No, this all was radishes. I harvested a lot of those, which I'm very grateful for. Those were delicious, but some of those did get chomped up. Beets were here, all of them demolished, never got to grow. Carrots, this is what's left. He's still coming over here and he's chomping up some of these carrot tops, but at least we have a couple. I need to come through and replant them somewhere else so that we still get a carrot harvest. Otherwise, there's like 10 in here, maybe. All right, next to that is our very, very sad strawberries. This was strawberries until either a deer or a bunny decided they were going to chew everything up every time something grows. So this is the most I've seen on one of these in quite a while. I mean, we have a teeny tiny little crazy strawberry there, but there is 1, 2, 3, 4 plants not doing great, continue to get eaten, can't throw off the runners because they can't grow. So better luck next time. That's not happening this year. Next to that, an insane amount of dill everywhere. This stuff is finally going to seed, but the dill this year that has just volunteered in this garden is insane. Look at the amount of seed on the top of this one dill. And if I just let this go, these are going to reseed and they will come back next year just as crazy as they did this year. Maybe even worse. This is a random box. This box has taken forever to do anything. It was heavily lacking in nutrients. This box actually really struggled the first couple years also because it was heavily soiled with like bugs. We had cabbage in here one year and the bugs were just insane. This year, I kind of just threw a bunch of random things in here. I bought this at the store. It's a grape tomato. It's actually doing okay now. And then I bought this. This is a purple basil, which is beautiful. I apparently, wasn't out here when it decided to start flowering. I'm just going to let it flower. I do have some basil in a different area that I'll use if I want to use some to cook with. I'll just let this do its thing. I might clip some of those off so it can bush out a little bit. But this is actually a clone of this plant. I had trimmed it off and put it in the ground. Lettuce, these are butter crunch lettuce. These have been in here forever and they have not done anything until literally right now. This is the most that they've done because of the heat. Lettuce likes cool and it has not been cool, except for today it's cold. So those are finally starting to come in. I'm really excited about that. We have on the back side here, here's our sheep just hanging out right here. My husband has them fenced in right behind the garden right now. And hopefully they'll get stuck in that hammock, but we got chickens over there. Anyways, on the back side of here, we have some gladiolas. These are actually looking really pretty. I just wanted these for cut flowers so they can be a focal flower in a cut flower arrangement. I didn't plant a ton, just a couple. And we have some peas. The peas did not do hot this year because it has been so warm, and peas also like cool weather. And I didn't get them in early enough. Obviously, we have a couple here that are delicious looking, but for the most part, these just really didn't do much. And they're actually not super like juicy. Like these are actually supposed to be like a sugar snap pea, and it's super flat. And that could be, I don't know, there's a lot of different reasons they could do that, I'm sure. But I mean, the flavor isn't awesome this year. Usually they're supposed to be like big and juicy, and it's just really not. Let's see. Here's another little guy. But this one's a little fatter. Let's see if the flavor on this one's better. Flavor on that one's better, but they're just not like they should be. So again, we'll try again next year with peas. Usually peas are not a problem for us. We've grown peas wonderfully every year. This year, they just didn't do great. Next to that, we have some Roma tomatoes, which look gorgeous. I have been out here trying to prune them. I have not strung them up yet. I need to go grab the twine. I put in some posts on the edge here, and I'm just gonna do like the weave method. I actually hate that method, but because because I have not been out here enough, I didn't get the proper trellising that I wanted for these up. So we're just gonna roll with that at this point. Also for cost reasons, we're trying to keep costs down on a lot of things this year. Some onions. So I grew these onions from seed. I don't know what variety they are, but that's super exciting. I've never gotten onions from seed to do anything. So these are seed. This one was a random like little start from last year that I just plopped in the ground. Actually, I plopped in a bunch of them, but most of them are rotted. This is the only one that lasted, but look at how big that is. It's so gorgeous. I'm really excited about that. Next to that is, now it's herbs. It wasn't herbs. It was broccoli, which is so sad. There was a bunch of broccoli plants in here, and the bunny came in and ate it down multiple times, or maybe even whatever critter dug that hole, which I guess it could be a bunny, but I think it's something bigger. So these two are the only two that have survived, and I'm surprised they have leaves on them, to be honest. I don't know if they're going to do anything. They are cold weather crops, so they might still produce because they can grow well into the fall, but we'll see. We have some parsley here. We did have, again, broccoli was here. A dill that has seeded itself. This one is still kind of in an early stage. Most of our dill is kind of past its prime. This one's in a really beautiful stage. I can still use this one really well. Then we have this is cinnamon basil. I grew all this cinnamon basil from seed, and this one, oh, it's just looking so gorgeous and full. I just love it, and it smells amazing. And again, yes, it's going to flower. And for basil, you do want to pinch those off if you want to use this to cook with. I just wanted to plant these because they're beautiful and they smell good and they help deter pests. This is some more parsley. This looks like a curly parsley variety. This looks more like the flat leaf. I just did like a mix. It's like the Annie's mix because we buy from Annie's heirloom seeds. And this is just a mix that I tossed in over here. So this looks like the flat. This looks like the curly. All right, behind that, we have an insane pumpkin, or not pumpkin, these are potatoes. This is all potatoes, well, and some grassy weeds. But these are looking awesome. I've already come through and kind of mounded them. So toss some extra dirt on them, because once they start poking out of the soil, you want to make sure they stay under dirt, because you don't want them to be exposed to the sunlight or they will turn green, and that can have a toxic component to them. And so you want to keep them shielded from the sun. So you want to make sure you mound them, keep them completely covered. So as they continue to grow, as long as they're not dying off, I will try to bring back some more dirt. But these are not ready to be harvested yet. But there are potatoes in there. So, I mean, technically I could dig some up if I wanted to, but we're going to wait. Then on the other side of that, we have, this is insane. This is all dill, you guys. This is all dill I did not plant. I didn't plant a single one of these. And amongst the dill, it's really so beautiful. I mean, look at this. How gorgeous. Yes, it's past its prime, but so beautiful and prolific. But underneath there is some pickling cucumbers. They're being heavily shaded now. They were just lightly shaded before. But here is something that is so cool. Let's see if I can get it to focus. This is a ladybug. That is a good bug. Ladybugs are good because they help. Okay, I need you to focus. There you go. That is a ladybug larvae, or baby, or whatever you want to call it. That's a good bug. We want ladybugs. Ladybugs help control other bugs. Look at it, he's so cute. All right, so these little picklers, these are going to be amazing pickles. Yum. They stay really nice and crunchy. We have a volunteer borage in here. This one's small compared to another one I'm going to show you. If you're not sure what borage is, see all this? All this blue purple stuff? Yeah, that's borage. And it's an edible flower. You can eat the flower, you can eat the leaves, and they taste a little bit like cucumber. But they're really prickly and pokey and kind of hairy, and I don't like the texture, so I don't eat them. They're just really pretty, and the pollinators are obsessed. They're obsessed. But all of these had volunteered themselves. I didn't plant any of these this year. They volunteered from last year. Apparently, because we had a really mild winter, the seeds overwintered just fine, and they're just doing their thing, and I'm letting them go. I will trim the one back here a little bit because it is kind of overtaking some of the cucumbers. But the pollinators seriously love this borage, and it's really fun to see how excited, like they literally seem like they're excited about it. It's really cute. So if we go to the next box, this is that calendula that I talked about, how it reseeded itself. Calendula is a super insane reseeder. It produces so much seed. So it's not fully open here. And this one's all closed too. These are actually pretty closed. Most of these are. I cut some off last week, but here's some seed pod. Here's a seed pod starting right here. It's not mature yet. These seeds are not mature yet, but it's on its way there. And these little curved seeds produce so many flowers. And I would say that calendula is probably one of the easiest flowers I've ever grown. Within that is some more pickling cucumbers, and there's probably a decent amount to be harvested in there right now. We'll see. But we have some dill that has done. I mean, that's dropped all its seed. Okay, so this dill, see all the seeds are gone, which means that they're down there somewhere. Lots more dill to come, I'm sure. Okay, so here's one. Here's one little friend right now. Hi, buddy. On the borage. He's just so happy. I know. These borage are really cool looking. So they have like these pretty dainty little blue flowers. I'm sorry, my hands look ridiculous right now. So much like just playing in the soil. My hands look gross. But look at how cool that is. What a cool flower. And those little seeds, those little pointy seeds right there, those are the heavy reseeders. So yeah, so we have the cucumbers in there trying to be contained within here. They're doing really well, so we're excited about that. So we're going to go back over to this box, and this is again the massive borage, the cucumbers, some more borage over here. We do have some trellis here for these cucumbers to trail across. Same with over here, so when they make it up that direction, they have somewhere to go. Rosie just wants to play. She wants that ball thrown so bad. She's so cute. Okay, so next to the cucumbers here, we have our peppers. Now these have gotten a really slow start. A very slow start, actually. But it's okay. We're still going to get some. I just don't know when. We did have some this bell peppers, so some of these have been chomped down by bugs. There's definitely some pest issues this year with the peppers. This was a pepper. It's chomped up pretty good. But these are bell peppers. This is a volunteer tomato. It was actually shielding this guy over here, but I moved it, trimmed it up and moved it. It's just a cherry tomato of some sort. But these are going to be a bell pepper of some variety. I don't recall. Let's see. Actually, maybe it says on that one back there. This is, I think, a California Wonder. Where is that? Cali pepper. Yeah, so I think that's a California Wonder. This is a jalapeno, I believe. All of these were started from seed. Nope, this is a Sugar Rush. That's a Sugar Rush peach pepper, which are amazing. Katie at Mayfield Ranch sent me these last year, and it was such a heavy producer. Just one plant was insane. And so I'm really excited that one of those plants, one of the two, is doing really well. This is another cinnamon basil. This is a jalapeno, I believe. My tag has washed off, but we are going to get some on here. It looks like we had some flowers and it's gonna start producing here hopefully soon. Now we're back towards the front. Here's our trellis. So for the first time ever, I planted ranunculus, but I did not know that they are a cool, that's not a ranunculus. Wait, this is not, this is a weed next to the ranunculus. They are a cool flower, and so the heat has just scorched them, but thankfully I have had a few that have produced, which are really cute. And I've never grown them, but I just randomly picked up some corms at the store and tossed them in, and a few, they did okay. Some of them aren't doing hot, but I'll cut the corms, or I'll dig them up and try to use them again next year, so we'll see. We have a dahlia here. This is just a dahlia that I grabbed at the Whole Foods, and I just thought it was so pretty, and I just wanted to put something pretty in the garden that I wasn't going to cut. I just wanted to enjoy it, and that's the dahlia that I chose. I have some morning glories, some garbage here, some morning glories in a pot here that I started from seed. Again, I wanted something to go up this front trellis. And it's a little behind, but we're starting to trail up a little bit, hoping I'll get some little blue flowers. My clematis this year was insane. I have a purple clematis here, and it's an awesome perennial, and it was insane. It was flourishing. It was gorgeous. I'm so excited about that. Our rattlesnake beans here. I just showed a harvest video harvesting some of our rattlesnake beans. These are a really cool bean. They're very prolific, a really cool looking bean, and a really great flavor. These are great to saute, to eat fresh, but they are just a really wonderful bean. Next to that, I planted my first ever rose bush. Don't know the variety, but it is, well, this one, these ones look a little funky right now, but usually all the blooms on here have been like a really peachy kind of color, multi-toned. And really gorgeous. If I can find a picture, I'll put one on the screen next to it here of one that's just really healthy. These they look a little spotted right now, which isn't their normal look, but they're still really pretty. And these are a perennial in our zone, and they will trail up. Look at all these beans. Look at that. It is so cool. On the back side of the beans here, which are incredibly insane. These were eaten down once by probably a deer because he reached his little head over here and chomped him up. We have lemongrass here and some volunteer chamomile on the back side. These two boxes right here, that was really good. So these two boxes right here have yet to be filled. I was determined to fill them this summer and put brassicas in them for the fall, but it is August like 9th and I have yet to do that. So that's not going to happen soon. I mean, it's still a project for this year, but they probably won't get seeded. They'll just get filled. So that's okay. There's always next year. But it's kind of fun. On the back side of this, you can see that flower garden we started with right here. That's just on the front side of this original fencing. And because I added that, it is outside of our normal garden, but it's still easily viewable, and it's just right here with everything else. All right, just scanning a little bit. So that was the front flower area, the 2 empty boxes, the pumpkins, the sunflowers, the regular flowers. We got trees over there. We got raspberries, butternut squash, asparagus, blueberries, tomatoes, root vegetables. We got zucchini here, kids' toys, and junk. Not part of the garden tour. Ignore that part. Different tomatoes that need to be tended to and trellised up. Strawberries on the back side. Different lettuces and cold weather stuff in that one. Gladiolas, tomatoes, potatoes, herbs, cucumbers, lots of dill. Cucumbers, borage, dill. Borage, cucumbers, peppers, beans, flowers. Gorgeous. So although there's lots of things that didn't do great this year, I am overall very happy when anything grows in our garden. The fact that we've been able to harvest beans and zucchini already, and a ton of raspberries and a ton of cherries, that is alone just so exciting. When you can grow your own food and provide something for your family, whether it's for fresh eating or to put up for the winter, it's such a rewarding feeling, and I feel incredibly blessed that I have the opportunity to do that. So anyways, if you enjoyed this tour, please like and let me know in the comments down below what your favorite part was, and if there's something you'd like to see more of, just let me know. I'm happy to make a video catered to what you guys actually want to watch. So my name is Sarah. If it's your first time here and you're still here, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate it. And I am so grateful for all of you who have chose to subscribe along the way and to watch my videos consistently. I'm officially now over 2,000 subscribers. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you. Have a wonderful, blessed day, and I'll see you in the next one.